lamento, como un quejido que al viento se lleva por donde quiera. Te quiero, qué pena haberte perdido, como quien pierde una estrella que se eleva al infinito. Quiero que se oiga mi llanto, como me dolió perderte después de quererte tanto. Ay, después de quererle tanto, necesito dar mi consuelo para sacarme de adentro esto que me está matando. Ay, 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 te quiero.
Welcome to our Monologues 2022. I'm Ria.
And I'm Anna.
And we are the co-directors of this year's show. Thank you all so much for being here tonight to support our cast members and to represent the Berkeley community.
Woo! We would like to acknowledge that we are on unceded Chochenyo Ohlone land. We are so grateful to be in this space and thrilled to bring our student-run production to the Berkeley High stage.
2 years ago, former directors transitioned Eve Ensler's Vagina Monologues into a more inclusive, student-led production. As directors, we began this process 1 year ago, aspiring to represent Berkeley's diversity and highlighting student voices.
Extending beyond entertainment, we see the show as a healing process. Our mission is representation, and the voices highlighted on the stage represent themes of love, joy, trauma, sex, racism, heartbreak, and immigration.
These stories, bravely performed by our cast members, represent real and raw experiences submitted by students within this Berkeley community.
Some of our monologues are performed by their authors, while others were submitted, some anonymously, and our cast members tell their stories.
We do need to preface that this show does contain heavy content, so we highly encourage you all to check the content warnings in your programs and to take care of yourselves by stepping out if need be.
We are immensely proud of our cast members and authors who embody the resilience of our communities, and grateful to our families, friends, and staff supporters for loving and guiding us through this incredibly beautiful, challenging, and rewarding journey.
Without the support of our entire community, this production would not have been possible.
We would like to extend an extra special thank you to our staff sponsor, Caitlin Luchard, for her continuous encouragement and advocacy, and to the tech crew here at Berkeley High and Fernando Robles for their time and dedication.
A teacher once told us Berkeley High would be a bleak place without the presence of our monologues, a message that affirms our mission of inclusivity and representation.
We are so hyped for you to see this show, a culmination of vulnerability and expression that encapsulates our hope for the future.
Reminder that the Berkeley Little Theater, you cannot have food or drinks inside, and please do not put any food into the trash cans. The women's restroom is upstairs, and the men's washroom is right down here to my left.
Yes, and remember to silence your cell phones so we have nothing interrupting the beautiful production.
Thank you so much for coming to our show. We hope
you enjoyed the show.
Dearly beloved, the trees are blooming, pink against the pink sky, pink against the golden evening. Winter is tentatively receding, I feel. The night is retreating even as the rest of the world is cloaked in white. The woman at the gas station threw a key to the wild turkeys today.
The book I wanted was gone when I went back to retrieve it.
The sun rejoiced, but ultimately lost its battle to the clock that came rolling in from the west, angry and black as an ancient god.
The apartment stood stark and miniature against the hill like a child's Lego blocks. The wasteland of the bulb was beautiful, and I asked myself, what is beauty? Is it green nature?
Is it man-made?
Is it that mathematical swirl that is painted on the sidewalk I can't remember where? Life feels beautiful right now.
I hope it lasts.
Dearly beloved, the 2-year-old hugged me for a moment. It might have been a bribe, nonetheless, I almost cried.
Dearly beloved, my hands are so cold I cannot tell you why. I lie on my stomach. A jolt goes through me as my feet dangle and brush my cow.
Sometimes I wonder if I am actually one of the living dead brought back to experience this world. In my past life, I was cut short, so I lived.
But my skin remains ice, and I feel too strongly as as if I did not have the capacity to before, my need to inhale the world before it inhales me.
Dearly beloved, he whispers, I love you guys. And my heart breaks 1,000 times over again. The need for love, to forgive, so strong that I forget that it was him who
Dearly
broke it
beloved.
the first 1,000 times.
Dearly beloved, smokers are conscious that they live on borrowed time. And what is life but borrowed time? And what is the meaning of life but to be conscious of this fact?
Dearly beloved, I can see entire universes behind the back of my eyes.
I can feel, perhaps in the way of the unfeeling, what it means to be dead.
I can see things without seeing. The light plays tricks on my silly mind. And in all that consuming blackness that you cannot even see but just feel,
I believe it is something akin to space, floating through nothingness and time swell and ebb all around you,
that blissful silence.
the chaos of creation.
Dearly beloved, I dreamt it was summer and awoke to find that it is. Oh, how the seasons do change. Isn't it funny?
Dearly beloved, she cried that night. Tears fell from her eyes. It felt like swallowing glass, such beautiful pain I had never seen.
Dearly beloved, I am struck by the unshakable feeling that a significant part of my life is ending. And it's not just due to the demise of my summer happiness or the ripening of the figs, vulgar in their own way as they sit plump on their trees, or even due to the discussion around school and college.
I have not been this happy for a long time. So it is inevitable that I must along with presentiments surrounding and approaching, or imagine doom.
Dearly beloved, my mother loved dahlias, the name of her assistant. Her, she did not love, but me, she did. There lay a puzzle in that flower.
Fooled by red and gold. In me she saw a puzzle as well, one that would never go old.
Dearly beloved, I walked into the hills today. I cannot decide if that is a magical place or a nightmarish one. The mists flowed around me. I saw 2 bluebirds flitting from branch to branch. I think they were the same one.
My head pounded quietly with each step. When I reached the top,
White bumps sprouted on my arms.
my eyes watered.
My nose ran.
I stared and stared at that gray house in the corner with the white window, but I can't remember where I've seen it before.
The rain fell on one tree, but not another. My happiness is gone.
It doesn't feel like August.
It feels like the world is ending.
I don't like what drinking does to you. I never have. You become sloppy. Your body becomes obnoxious, and it's like you start to melt. Your slurred voice stops my ability to think and forces my eyes to shut as my whole body clenches. I can't even breathe because my lungs don't want to inflate. I don't like who you are when you're drunk. Sticky as molasses, you slink. Clinging to the concrete you step on as you stumble around, tripping on your own feet as you try to climb sets of stairs. Every crash and thud makes me flinch as I try to think of anything but you. When you drink, your thoughts trail off in incomplete sentences, cut off by gulps of wine. Your mouth speaks slowly as your mind is trying to painfully grasp for your next word. You are unable to block any secrets you have sworn to protect, or any thoughts that pop in your head. I never know mom anymore. When you're drunk. And I don't want you to be. Everything that's supposed to bring me comfort turns into horror when you're inebriated. I no longer want to be held in your arms because I feel like I will be smothered. I don't want to look at you, talk to you, or perceive you. I'm not going to ask you to stop drinking. It's just hard when you do.
You can take the girl, but the hell estates. Announcing Bay Area a rite of passage. Feeling grown enough to roll these two syllables off your tongue. Hella. Like, damn, it's hella hot, and I hella forgot to refill my Clipper card. It is shouted across classrooms. Teacher, this homework's hella hard. In the girls' bathrooms, your jeans are hella cute. A softer, lovelier version of eternal damnation. Hear priests preaching about the place you will burn. But hella is a celebration, an accentuation. In the classroom, my tongue pushes down this lyrical word. The passage was very well written. Although the Oxford Dictionary added the word hella in 2020, an adverb with very as a synonym, there is no replacement. Hella is like joy, born from suffering, from burning and maliciousness. It is an amalgamation of what is good and bad, a symphony of syllables that describe. In the classroom, where proving my intellect is a prerequisite, I stifle this glorious word. I set out to prove that I am hella smart. Pull out my thesaurus words, poured over and perfectly crafted argument. Foolproof. To prove to the fools who've overlooked and underestimated that I am hella smart. So they have no reason to confirm their hella whack expectations of me. One day, I will let my tongue free, letting hella slide out of my mouth. Used in the correct grammatical context, I will hella speak my truth.
Generations of lovers standing behind you, pushing you towards your person. Someone's name carved next to yours on a park bench. Someone's photo in the locket around your neck. A shared cottage on the outskirts of town. Ivy growing on the walls and a lemon tree in the front yard. Soft sheets and voices and arms around you, and someone to tell you that it's gonna be okay when everything feels dull and dark. I want that. I can't pretend that I don't. I want someone to hold my hand, someone to text when things fall apart, and when they come back together. I want someone to kiss, someone to look at the stars with. I want someone to look at me and say, yeah, she's the one. This is it. And it's not even that I want sex. I know that's what I'm supposed to care about first and foremost, that I'm supposed to be surrounded by this hormone-induced cloud of horniness. And like, maybe I am. I'm not saying I don't want sex, because I do. I do. want to hook up? I wouldn't say no. Well, I would, because like stranger danger, but you get my point. I have the whole world stretching out in front of me, and I can't force it to mean anything because my hand is cold and I have no one to make promises to. And I know this isn't supposed to be something I crave. I should be true to the long line of independent women standing behind me. Women who carve space for themselves in this world with sharp nails and angry words. I should settle in my leather jacket and my combat boots. I should take on the world with my cold hands balled into fists. I should make promises to myself, to my future. But it's lonely being strong. Not that I was ever really strong to begin with. And look, do I watch too many romance movies? Yes, I'll admit it. Did The Notebook make me cry? Yes. But I don't need desperate sprints through airports or kissing in the rain. I don't need a Taylor Swift love story. I don't need you to sing to me or to show up with flowers outside my window. I just want you to know my coffee order or to remember my favorite book. I just want you to hold my hand. So, I'm ready. I'm taking applications. I know how to drive, make friendship bracelets, and bake, and I'm really good at talking to adults, so your parents will love me. I'm not beautiful. I know that. I don't drip honey when I smile. I don't shine on the days when the sun is covered by clouds, or even days when the sun drenches everything in gold. I don't have a face made for portraits or a body that would look good carved in stone. I'm soft, where I should be sharp. I'm anxious and clingy and need to be reminded that I'm liked at least once a day. But I've been told I give good hugs. My hands are warm and I have an excess of sweaters that could all be yours for the low, low price of a kiss. So, call me. Call me at 1-800-HOPE-IS-ROMANTIC and I'll buy you dinner. Call me at 1-800-I'm tired of being lonely and we can just hang out in my room. Call me at 1-800, does this look too desperate? And I will pick up on the first ring. Call me anytime, anywhere, and I'll come to you.
Más quisqueala, indómita y brava, siempre altiva la frente alzará, que si fuere 1000 veces esclava, otros tantas se libres habrá. These words, which should mean so much to me, which should fill me with a sense of pride and honor in my culture, feel like nothing more than a string of letters. I'm proud to be Dominican. I adore my culture with everything in me, and yet I feel no connection to this song, the anthem which represents the country I'm supposed to love.
All my life, I felt as though I wasn't Latino enough. In the U.S., I grew up in places where I could count the amount of people of color in my classes on one hand, and in Mexico, I grew up in places where there were practically no English speakers, let alone native English speakers.
I couldn't go to my grandma's backyard and pick avocados, or tune in every Saturday to watch Sábado Gigante on my family's 12-inch screen. I hardly understood Spanish until just a few years ago, and even now I'm ashamed to speak in what should be my native tongue. Always responding in English when spoken to in Spanish by my parents.
Despite Spanish being my first language, I only really spoke it until I was 5 years old, after which English became my sole medium of communication outside of my family. So,
could I possibly call myself either Mexican or American?
How could I possibly call myself Latina? How could I act like I embraced my culture when I didn't even know how to dance merengue?
It seemed easier to drift to the other side, to try to be more like our white peers,
Look like them,
talk like them.
and yet that wasn't even attainable.
The second we began to escape our identity as Latinos,
I was reminded by a tug on my hair from a kid who had clearly never heard of personal space.
I was reminded by the question, what are you? Or where did you come from? Or how come you don't have an accent?
A comment about the color of my skin, being called poop face, or being asked where I bought my self-tanner. I was reminded by the question,
Say my name in Spanish.
which, by the way, is exactly the same as it is in English. It's infuriating at times to not feel brown enough for your own family, but to not feel white enough for all your peers when you aren't even white in the first place. It would be easy to ignore it all, to say, I don't see color, to avoid acknowledging my own, but I refuse to continue this way.
Es enfureciente a veces no sentirte lo suficientemente moreno para el resto de tu familia y comunidad, pero tampoco sentirte lo suficientemente blanco cuando ni siquiera eres blanco para empezar. Sería más fácil ignorarlo todo y decir, no veo el color, pero me rehúso a continuar de esta manera.
I won't let myself ignore my Dominican heritage any longer. By the time I was 9 years old, both of my abuelas had passed away before I could form a single sentence in Spanish. It was at that moment that I realized I had to change. I can't let myself do the same with my abuelas. To have them die before I can have a conversation with them because I'm too embarrassed or afraid. I may never be able to relate to my ancestors in the ways I wish I could. I won't be able to tell my children stories of the hardships of immigration like the ones I've heard from my parents, but I now know that my identity as a Latina doesn't depend on these things. It shows in the way I brush my hair every day, finger combing meticulously through every curl. It shows every time I hear a Selena song, singing at the top of my lungs as if the words are embedded in my tongue.
In my name, Jose Mauricio Sierra Romero, each hyphen representing an entire lineage of proud Mexicans. And despite myself never being able to say I'm 100% Mexican or 100% American, I can proudly say I pull from the two ropes that make up who I am.
I won't deny that I've been Americanized. It's inevitable. Growing up so far away from this island in the Caribbean, I want so badly to call my home. But that doesn't need to be a source of shame.
I am an awkward in between, an amalgamation of two cultures that couldn't be any more different.
And despite the confusion, all of the internal battles and doubts, I wouldn't have it any other way.
This is who we are. I will not deny that I won't ever feel fully integrated in either culture. But despite this, este es quienes somos, y no lo tendríamos de ninguna otra manera.
Hi. This is a song I wrote a little while ago called The Girlfriend Song. I heard you got a new girlfriend. I just want you to know I think it's fine. I heard you got a new girlfriend. I hope you guys have great sex all the time, all the time, all the time. No, I don't think about you. I read God's liquor cabinet late at night, drink coffee. it's fine.
Frog restaurant, airplane book, fairy tales with a little match girl, porcupine song, goodnight mantra, the lobster dance. None of these words make any sense to you, but for me, they are little reminders of what I cannot be reminded of. A list in the notes app of my phone titled Forgotten Things from My Childhood. You see, most of you can ask Mom and Dad, hey, what was that story you used to tell me? What was that playground we used to go to? What was the secret ingredient to your amazing lasagna? However, when I want to ask my mom and dad these questions, all I can turn to are their urns above my family's fireplace. One thing I didn't understand would happen when my parents died is how frustrating it would be. Yes, I miss them, and yes, I'm sad, but sometimes I just want to tell my mom about a TV show I think she'd love. Sometimes I just want to ask my dad, hey, what was that song about porcupines he used to sing to me while we hiked? Oh, and where did we hike? I remember we called it Peacock Park, but I don't remember where that was anymore. Actually, I don't remember a lot of things anymore. What did your tattoo look like again? What was that musical you loved? What was the texture of the palm of your hand, the sound of your voice? What the fuck did you even look like? Photos don't do my mom and dad justice. Photos don't give me back those gaps dug into my brain where my memories are supposed to be. Photos don't fix the fact that my mom and dad planned a whole future for me that they never got to see. Photos don't replace that instead of kissing me goodnight, instead of grounding me for sneaking out or disapproving of my boyfriends, they just sit there in those boxes, missing it. All of it. They couldn't have stopped it, and I couldn't have fixed it. But they wanted to be here more than anything, and they didn't get to. That's really fucking sad. But honestly, sometimes I really just want to remember how to do the lobster dance.
My mirror is my altar. Every day I stand before it and pray that my morphed reflection will disappear. I tell myself, if I just stare long enough, the mirror will take pity. And next time, it won't be the same body looking back. My ritual is complicated. An exact series of motions, automatic now from practice. First, I pick at my face, chanting through my flaws, my eyes uneven, my upper lip too small, my nose too long. A checklist of grievances for my mirror God. Moving to my body, my prayer frenzies, desperation and shame and disgust combined into a cry sent to the heavens. But only my mirror can hear, and my reflection does not change. My stomach remains. My hips are the same. My waist is stubbornly still. Despite my prayer, there is no miracle. I am not sleek and shiny or round and warm. I remain awkward, misshapen. They say your body is a temple, a blessing to be taken care of. But my temple is a curse, a place I only visit to wish away. In front of my mirror, I pray that somehow, this time, it won't be me staring back.
They say we have come a long way in life, but is that true? Have my people always been open season to you? Having our freedom stripped away from us ever since we got here, but is that fair? Always being judged on the way we look, from our skin to our hair. You have feared us ever since the Haitian Revolution, because Black people have the power to get rid of our oppressors. You've seen how powerful we can be, and fear is what drove you to hate us. We've gained our freedom, but is that so? Because right now, in 2022, I still feel like 3/5 of a person. You have oppressed our history, but hey, at least we have a month. But is that really enough? You have never wanted to share our stories. That's why you've been dedicated to the shortest month. Are we next? My brothers and sisters who have been captured from their homes have shown us we can overcome anything. We are tenacious, and we never back down. Fast forward to now, my people are still considered open season. I look around and see hate in the eyes of our oppressors, anger and passion in the oppressed. I think to myself, is this the next Haitian Revolution or the next Rwandan genocide? Because the way I see it, it's a double-edged sword. On one side, I see my people wanting to take back what they built. On the other, I see a government slowly trying to silence us, trying to erase our achievements, our goals, our pride, our passion, our voices, our history, us! So my question is, how do I rank in the statistics of the survival of my people? Am I next? Is he next? Is she next? Are we next?
Ay de mí, llorona, 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 de un campo santo. Ay de mí, llorona.
being raised in a predominantly white setting.
The most mentally debilitating thing I've ever endured.
I've been attending private schools for as long as I can remember. And with that, of course, as a black child, comes its challenges.
I realized I was different at the age of 6 and had mastered the damaging art of hating myself by 8. My parents told me time and time again that they wanted me to have as many opportunities as possible.
But at what cost? I grew up detesting who I saw when I looked in the mirror, a disconnect that pains me to describe. I spent hours at a time analyzing my features, only to justify all the reasons I felt undesirable. My nose, its broad, prominent build seemed unnatural to me.
My lips, disproportional to the rest of my face. I remember practicing tucking them in before picture day in 4th grade.
My hair.
I despise its uncooperativeness, the way it defied gravity standing this way and that.
My skin, its brunette pigment acting as a barrier between myself and confidence.
School only solidified those anxieties and intensified them as the years went by. In 5th grade, my soccer coach called the only other black girl by my name. Upon realizing his mistake, he turned to me and said,
My bad. When there are 2 black girls on the same team, it's hard to tell them apart.
We look nothing alike. That moment stripped me of any individuality I felt I had left and evidently killed me. There has been countless times where I've died in plain sight without batting an eye. By 7th grade, I wanted to take my life, but thankfully by 8,
I grew numb to the feeling. I'm 17 now, and I can't remember the last as though I felt I truly belong. Code switching is my specialty, and it's depressing. During quarantine, I put an insane amount of effort to try and find myself again, to reconnect with my blackness. Yet, the recent events of police brutality unearthed loads of trauma I wasn't ready to face. Social media inevitably was counterproductive, as my white peers were posting the footage of black men and women being taken from us at the hands of America's heroes.
George Floyd,
Breonna Taylor,
Daunte Wright,
Tanisha Anderson, Rayshard Brooks. Though at times in their places I saw my brother,
my father,
my mother,
my uncle, myself. Thank you, oppressor. But even your activism is at my expense.
I'm always mad, and quite frankly, I have every right to be. Anger consumes the majority of my psyche, and what remains is occupied by the residual physical, emotional, and mental pains and apprehensions of my kin who came before me.
Oftentimes, it's entirely too much for me, and I cry. I cry at the thought of what my ancestors suffered through. My tears flow like the ocean in mourning for those who chose it.
I imagine the sea swallowing their sorrow as it blindly flowed toward the coast, solely being guided by the sounds of the now despondent and ill. I imagine defeated souls shifting and swaying with the current, washing up on America's shores, fertilizing the ground only to grow trees that bear strange fruit.
Healing is a process
I anticipate devoting my life to, and despite the hardships, I'm constantly reassured by the strength and perseverance my community holds on a daily basis.
I am proud to be black, and that will never change.
I love the empty space between my thighs when I stand wide enough, challenging myself to see how close my feet can get together before the space is obliterated and my legs collide. I love the way my ribcage looks, poking through the surface of my skin when I raise my arms, when I suck in the air to eliminate the space between skin and bone. I like the pain that pangs in my stomach when I hold out long enough. My gut twisting in on itself in search of something, anything to get by. I say like, not love, however. It is still pain after all. It's a pleasant sort of hurt. It's rewarding, but pain nonetheless. I love how my eyes like sunken in on the bad days, the evidence of food that I've denied myself becoming apparent on my face. I say bad days, bad in the sense that other people might see it that way, but honestly, these days are my favorite. On these days, I feel like I have control. I feel like I overcame some insurmountable feat by resisting the urge to stuff my face relentlessly. hate that eventually my feet get too close and the gap fades away as my thighs inevitably meet. And I hate the idea of living any other way. I don't want to lose this feeling of control, if that's what recovery means. Documenting every unit of energy that enters and leaves my body, it makes me feel in charge. Gives me some vague semblance of autonomy. And if recovery means letting that go, I'd rather not entertain the thought. I don't want to recover, and yet I long for people to notice. I want people to know that I need help, that I'm not okay in any sense of the word. I hate when people say I'm dedicated, when they tell me, you're so disciplined, or I could never stick to such a tight regimen like you. It's not work ethic, it's not perseverance, it's crippling. It's draining. I want people to know that it's not tenacity, it's mental illness. I'm hurting so badly that sometimes all I can do is scream and scream until my throat goes raw and hope my pillow absorbs the muted sounds of pain and fatigue plaguing my existence. But to be helped is to recover. To recover would be to lose everything. The gap, the bones, the hunger. I can't lose that. I won't. And yet, I can't go on like this. I know. I'm aware that this is all unreasonable, that I'll never truly have my way. What I want is completely unattainable. This sort of limbo, an impossible in between, a foolish wager. It's the nothing I crave.
It's so funny how you can look into someone's eyes. You think you know them, yet they're a closed ball. For so long, I was that closed ball. I had no choice but to stay silent, as silence was my only escape. Who the hell am I trying to live up to? What am I trying to prove? Silence was the only way I knew how to suppress what I felt. It has been like that since as long as I can remember, but I'm so fucking tired. I worked so hard to try to hide the parts of myself I didn't love. For so long, I tried being someone I clearly wasn't. I kept lying to myself, hoping I could make myself change. You laughed at me and called me names. Like daggers burying into my skin, they sank deeper and deeper, and you didn't even care. Sleepless nights would go by, one after the other with the same damn question churning in my mind. Who am I? I chose to hide. Hiding who I am from myself was always easier than thinking about it. Every time, you would make jokes about me. Jokes which you knew were wrong, yet you always found a way to hurt me. I am so tired of worrying about what society thinks of me. I am so sick of pretending like everything within me wasn't okay. You have no idea how hard it is to be locked up within myself. How lonely and miserable I felt. You asked, what else do you want me to say? I prayed I would never hear that phrase. An empty apology. But at the end of the day, I guess expectations tend to maim the most. I hated myself. I hated everything about me. I felt horrendous, ugly, disposable. I still can't say I fully love myself, but I have to wonder, why do I hate myself just because you do? Had I been so incredibly desperate that I based how much I loved myself off of how you viewed me? Had I been so incredibly stupid and naive to think that your opinion was what mattered most? You explained what you wanted me to be. I was so broken, so shattered. I never once considered if that's who I am. You pressured me to become what you wanted. Like clay, you tried to shape me into the vase that you could best display for your collection. I'm so tired pretending that you didn't hurt me. I was hurt because you made me feel horrendous. You made me feel detestable. But all along, I never once realized I wasn't who I was afraid of. Nor was my body or my soul. And that other people weren't my biggest problems. All this time, it was you. I was so caught up trying so desperately to fit into society's expectations, I never once considered it was you who made me feel this way. And I just have to ask, why?
Okay, hi. I need help. I'm almost certain I'm going crazy. And I need an outside opinion because my own mind has ceased to function. So, let me tell you what happened, and then you can tell me what you think it means. We can bounce some ideas around, brainstorm, do some rhetorical analysis, you know, the works. Some context. It was midnight. She was sleeping over. I was trying not to be in love with her, trying to pretend I wasn't living the overplayed trope of the lesbian, hopelessly falling for the straight girl. I was not succeeding. And then, out of the blue, she goes, I have a date on Sunday. And I didn't care, because I'm not supposed to care. And if there's anything I excel at, it is following the rules. So I said, in the most casual way possible, oh really? That's so great. Who's it with? Who is he? What is his name? Who is he? Super chill. I am the epitome of cool. I think he might kiss me. And I said nothing. Because what are you supposed to say when your best friend, who you're coincidentally in love with, tells you she's about to have her first kiss with some jerk, who's probably named Jason or James or Jackass? You say nothing, so I said nothing, until she goes, I think we should practice. And now pay attention here, you guys, because this is where things get confusing. Because there is no way she means what I think she means, right? We are past the age where that is a normal thing to do. Miles past it, centuries past it. So I said, cool, as a cucumber. What? And continued to stare aggressively at the ceiling. And she goes, kissing. I think we should practice kissing. And then she rolled over, looked right at me, and I swear I could feel her eyes on me, could feel her breath on my neck, could feel stars colliding and my world caving in on itself, as she said, now, here. And now I am thinking, what the actual goddamn fuck is going on? Maybe I fell asleep, maybe I was dreaming, maybe we finally got our hands on some weed, like we've been talking about for months. And I was hallucinating. Even though I'm like 70% sure that weed does not induce hallucination. I mean, I'm not confident, because like I said, we were still in the process of procuring some. But basically, what the fuck? screaming out of my chest from her lying next to me. Like I'm not hyper-aware of where her leg is against mine. Like I don't dream of her and her alone. It's fine. Okay, I said, eloquent as ever. And then what? In case I said okay too fast, and then yes, in case it wasn't absolutely apparent that I am in love with her. And then she said, sit up. And what was I gonna do? Not sit up? Come on, be real. I sat the fuck up. You guys, when I tell you that I am in love with this girl, it is not an exaggeration. And there she was, hair messy from almost sleeping, my t-shirt hanging from her shoulders because she forgot to bring PJs. Should I have said no? Probably, but common sense is not a strength of mine, and willpower has never been a virtue I aspire to have. So when she said, come here, I did, and then her hand on my waist, her hand in my hair, and then she fucking kissed me right on my goddamn useless mouth. And when I tell you, I almost blacked out, but I didn't because I kissed her back and she kissed me back. And Jesus H. Christ, you guys, I am falling apart here. The walls I put up to keep my feelings for her locked away are rubble. Not even rubble, sand. No, you know what? Not even sand, dust. They're absolutely demolished and I am next. She pulled away and I thought I might die. And then she goes, I didn't quite get the hang of it. And then she kissed me again. And then there's, good night, babe. And then she has the audacity to just go to sleep. What the hell? One does not simply kiss their best friend twice, call said friend babe, and then just go to sleep. What the fuck? What the fuck? So, there you have it. The facts of the encounter, the download, the play-by-play. Do we think that sounds platonic? Does anyone have any ideas? Anyone want to take a shot in the dark? Because I think my brain has short-circuited, and as I may have expressed, I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
What if you were wearing a costume? Your true identity and personality. Unseen by your true beauty. Unseen by the people who deny your opinions. And free body. A costume made by intentional mistakes. Made in history. Made by the people who convey their history. The history that's overlooked the minority. Neglected the voices yelling throughout the centuries. The significant trauma. Why not bury myself in the costume? Believe I am the costume. Yell from the top of my lungs, I am exactly what you see me as. What if I'm tired of getting up every day, afraid to unzip the costume that has embroidered the smell of me, of my hair, of my body, my essence. A costume glued
maybe I imagined it before it happened, through the car ride back home. Homebody who traces the map back to wherever it came from. As in, I left this place, but here I am. In the back seat, on a banca resting in some ocean. On the back of the tongue forgetting itself. An itch that is given to you. Because how else to teach the kid? You only have one in your mouth. What we spill is the shadow. I don't call him Tatai, just Dad. Remember though, the tension. What's needed to make a taut lineage. A rope to weave through a bloodline thick enough to call itself here. Thin enough to apologize and say thank you. As in, I name myself an undoing. A mathematical proof instinctive like I am getting inside the car to reach something familiar. The humming of a radio from another country. Remembered only because we keep trying to mimic its movement. How waves can be more than just water. This string accelerated through the air by a hand, not mine. I don't know which country I'm referring to. We are both becoming the spectacle stared at. A funhouse, really. Amir doesn't have to be poetic. I'm only looking out of habit. Dad in the front seat. I'm just the passenger. The third object is not the road. Not thinking about the time it took us to get here, I am moving through this mythos the body remembers. Because we've driven home before. Though sometimes the child pretends to be asleep. I just want to be held. Though the driver does too, I think. As in, I'm sorry I keep you awake, but how else can I get you to not look away? You know how this goes. Because we've driven home before. The body remembers. I am moving through this mythos, not thinking about the time it took us to get here. The third object is not the road. I am just the passenger, Dad, in the front seat. I'm only looking at you out of habit. Mia doesn't have to be poetic. A funhouse, really. We are both becoming the spectacle stared at. I don't know which country I am referring to. Not mine. The string accelerated through the air by a hand. How waves can be more than just water. Remembered only because we keep trying to mimic its movement. The humming of a radio from another country. I am getting inside the car to reach something familiar, instinctive like a mathematical proof, as in, I name myself an undoing. Thin enough to apologize and say thank you. But thick enough to call itself here. A rope to weave through a bloodline. What's needed to make a taut lineage. Remember though, the tension. I don't call him Tatai, just Dad. What we spill is the shadow. You only have one in your mouth. Because how else to teach the kid the itch that is given to you? On the back of the tongue, forgetting itself. On a banca resting in some ocean. In the back seat, as in, I left this place, but here I am. Homebody who traces the map back to wherever it came from. Through the car ride back home. Maybe you imagined it before it happened.
COVID-19. Symptoms include shortness of breath.
Her chest heaves with each inhale, frantic breaths caught on a cloth of a mask.
Air shouldn't be a privilege. One ventilator between innumerable patients.
I can't breathe.
Get your knee off his neck.
He can't breathe.
Fever.
His forehead is burning. burning up.
Evacuation notice.
Air quality is above 400. Stay inside.
They're contagious. Stay inside.
Heat waves across the country.
Our forests engulfed in flames.
We sweat pain from inside.
Chest pain.
Asylum seekers incarcerated.
Chests aching for lost children.
A cage is less than 6 feet wide.
Outbreaks in detention centers and prisons.
Huddled masses yearning to breathe.
Cough.
Thick, grime coats our lungs, the kind that is centuries old.
Secrets that are not hidden, but ignored.
Expelling debris of abuse and exploitation.
Only when our throats are raw and exposed can we heal.
Chills.
How many thousand people died today?
Coronavirus casualties.
And everything to someone.
How many people's worlds caved in and crumbled?
2 years in.
My body trembles with all we have lost.
Fatigue.
I think I forgot how to smile.
I lost someone today. Puffy-eyed on a Zoom call.
Not everyone can work from home.
Drained. Drowning.
Essential workers paid essentially nothing.
Our bodies are heavy from existing in between.
If you think you've been exposed, isolate.
Get tested.
We're tired of living history in the making.
A cruel record continuously beaten.
Our world has been exposed.
Our souls are red and raw.
It's hard to heal when you can't breathe.
Breathe.